Hello and welcome to TeachSupport. My name's Tim. Today I'm going to be helping you with Loom.
We call this the Loom of faith.
What is Loom exactly? Loom is a video and screen recording software. Actually, it's the software that I'm using to record this video right now. What does it allow you to do? It allows you to record your face, the screen, or a combination of those two things. Now, what do I like about Loom? There's lots of screen recording software out there. But what I do like about Loom is that, one, it's free. It's free, which is great. It's free if you're an educator. There is the ability to sign up for an educator account if you verify with your school email. And what that does is it actually removes most of the limitations that are put on the free account. So in order to access Loom, you need to click this Get Loom for Free button, and you would use one of your existing email accounts. Now, I signed up with Google because that's where my school division, they have a corporate account with Google, and I wanted to use the school account so that I could have that account verified to remove some of those free limitations. But I have Loom, so I'm going to sign in. So when I click sign in, I would sign in with Google. So now that I'm in, this is what I'm looking at. Now, in order to create a video, it's quite simple. You just click this record a video button, and what it'll do is it'll open up this pop-up. Now, some of the features that I have is I can record my screen and camera, which is my default option. I like to show what's going on my screen, or either my full screen or one of the windows. And then I usually have my face showing. Now, you can have your face either as small, medium, or gigantic. But I don't want to be super obtrusive, so I usually have it on the small setting. It does also allow you to drag it around to wherever you want it to be, depending upon your content. So usually I have mine in the lower left, but sometimes it made more sense to have it in the lower right or the upper corner. But I positioned it to where I want it to be. Sorry, gotta lock that in there, and you just do that by clicking and dragging. So I left click and I hold it and I drag, and then when it's done I click it again, and when I'm happy with it I click start recording, and it'll allow me to either pick my entire screen, which is usually what I pick, or a specific window if I have a separate application open or a Chrome tab. For my personal ease, I usually just pick my entire screen, and I click share, and it gives me a little countdown, 3, 2, 1. And then here it is. Here's my recording. And whatever I do, it's going to record. Now, a good piece of advice is make sure you have what it is that you want to use open. Loom takes up a whole bunch of processing power. So if I were to open my PowerPoint right now, it would take far longer to do that than it would normally do to boot up. So I try my best to have things open already so that I can access the materials quickly. So what I would do is I would just teach the lesson. Now, I would have the camera centered on my face, and it's important to note that I never showed other students, because then you get into some sort of privacy or FOIP rules. And also, students were located far enough away from me that if they had a question, generally speaking, their voice would not be recognizable on the recording either. It necessitated me having to repeat those questions when a student would ask me one, but I was very cognizant of making sure that the only sort of person that was visible in these recordings was myself. So I'm teaching my essay lesson. This would also simultaneously be showing on my projector so the kids could see the same materials. This is what I would normally do. What I was doing is duplicating that experience for the student that wasn't there. Now, I didn't want to stream them in because the technology of that is complicated and you really don't have time to interact with them if you're busy teaching. And so what I really wanted to do was just capture what it was that I was doing in class. Now, how did I find it? I found it because I was playing around with it to do some screencasting of marking, which I'll show you about later. But my main use of Loom was necessitated by the pandemic. And it was necessary because I needed something that I could use to create content for students that were absent, to produce something that they could view asynchronously. But I also wanted something that minimized my workflow because nobody's got time to make videos at home that duplicate the lessons that are going on in class. And so what this did is it allowed me to sort of simplify that workflow. I could teach my lesson, I could use the materials that I would normally use, and then provide those materials to students. It also let them see my face, which I thought was useful, especially in a time of disconnection, that they could actually see somebody that they could interact with versus just sort of a PowerPoint stack. Now, I also really liked that it allowed me to utilize the materials I already had, so that it was very, very seamless. So what I would do is my computer was set up, my microphone was set up in my classroom, and let's say I was going to give a lesson on essay writing. A fairly common lesson, but one that I don't really want to have to reproduce for a student that's away, because how do you reproduce an hour-long lesson for a student that's absent? So anyway, I would go through, I would talk, my face isn't on the screen, so that's great. I don't have to look at myself for the whole time. And then I would just go through my materials. I'd answer my questions, I'd talk about what I'm looking for, and I would give my lesson. And then when the lesson was finished, all I would have to do is stop that recording. Now, once we're finished recording in Loom here, all we have to do is we click the complete button here, boom, and it's going to open up this screen for me here. And it's going to give me access to my video. First thing I want to do is I'm going to give it a title that makes some sense. So in this case, let's say it was 30-2 essay writing lesson. I am then going to play around with some of the video preferences. Now, I personally don't like students to have the ability to download my video, so I turn off viewer can download. Everything else I leave on. The students can comment, which is fine. I like to get the emails. If a student makes a comment, they can record a reply. I've never had a student record a reply. They can react with emojis if they would like, and it's nice if they can see some analytics, although if you don't want your students to see how many people have viewed the video, you can turn that off. I also like the fact that I could trim the video if I chose, cutting out sort of a section of the text at the beginning or the end. I can start trimming, etc. and trimming. I like the call to action feature, which allows me to create a button. Sometimes if I have like supplementary notes, like a link to a PDF, I might say PDF notes, and then I could put in a URL. In this case, I'm just going to put in Google. And then you can save the call to action. And what that'll do is when I'm playing the video, you'll notice that there's now a button, and then here it is, located up in the upper right-hand corner, which is a link. If they click on it, it'll open up that link, and then it appears in the center of the screen at the end of the video. You could also add a thumbnail if you would like, to replace sort of the default image that it gives you, but I don't ever have time for that, and so I never worry about it. But if you're really particular about those sorts of things, it's a nice little feature that you can have. The other thing that I really like about Loom is that if a student is watching a video, they do have a couple of features for themselves. One, they can speed it up. They can watch you sort of twice as fast, or 1.5 times, which can actually make the process a lot better for students, especially if there's pauses for questions. They can sort of like race through some of the content and then slow it down where they need to. So that's sort of the basic features of Loom that I use. I would then, when the video is finished, I'd click the link button. It copies the link for me. I can then just blast that link into a hyperdoc or directly into Google Classroom or an email to a parent or student, and then that would take them directly to the Loom interface. Having disabled the ability to download the video, they view the video on the web. It's on Loom servers, and that's where it stays. I can then delete it from Loom servers when I am happy with the video, that students have seen what I need them to see. Another great feature of Loom is that if you chose, you could download your video. This one is just processing, which is why I can't download it right now. But any of these other videos, I could just click these three little dots. I could star it, make it important. I can archive it. I can copy it, but I could download it. This is what I'm doing for the videos that I made on Loom because it allows me to sort of edit them together. It could also be a way of you keeping some of your Loom recordings and then removing the videos from the Loom servers if you chose. Well, that's it for part 1 of our delve into Loom. Thanks for contacting TeachSupport. I'll see you next time.